Today we're gonna get San Diego explained for you, give you a nice broad overview. We've lived here our whole lives. Right now we're both in North County, San Diego, but I've lived kind of a bunch of different spots. Went to San Diego State, so lived in kind of that central Mission Valley area of San Diego for a little bit. Moved to the PB area, kind of the beach coastal cities down there. Living up north, grew up in San Marcos up in North County, so just lived here our whole lives. So we're gonna give you our perspective on what San Diego is like, the different areas, what are some different living options, and just some other stuff that you need to know if you're thinking about moving out here and you haven't defined a specific area. You're like, I want to move to San Diego. I have this idea, maybe not for the weather, because today we're in June gloom. It's like wet all over the place, a little drizzly going on. You can't expect that at May and June here all the time. So just get used to that. But we're gonna dive in and really break it down for you. So give you our perspective and let you know what we think of all these little areas right here in San Diego.
Before we get started, this is a channel about everything you need to know about living in San Diego. So definitely if you have thoughts about moving here, this is where you want to come. Kind of learn everything there is to know about all the different parts of this great city and the communities around it. And we are a real estate crew out here in San Diego, so if you do have questions, it's never too early to get that conversation started. Let's hop on a Zoom, let's hop on a phone call, and dial in kind of what works for you and help you put together a plan to move out to San Diego.
So one of the first things to know when moving out this way is the lay of the land. How is San Diego spread out? What are different areas in San Diego you should know? We broke it down into 5 distinct little areas. So let's start with downtown, kind of that, metro area of San Diego. This is where you're gonna fly into. If you've landed here, you know exactly where that is. You're landing right in the heart of downtown, which is pretty cool. Other cities I've seen, not necessarily, maybe you're landing kind of outside the city. Right here, you're coming right into downtown. So you're ready to party right when you get here. But downtown San Diego is one of the areas that you're gonna find like the most condos, the most density, the most area where they're gonna have that nightlife. They're gonna have all that entertainment, obviously. And it's really the only basically hub in San Diego where you're gonna find like high-rise buildings. There's a little area, UTC, up a little north, where you do find a little bit. When we film up on Double Peak, and it's a clear day, that's up in San Marcos, you could see all the way down into like downtown San Diego and UTC area of La Jolla. That's like the only part where you're gonna see these bigger buildings for the most part. Everywhere else, you're coastal and inland, and you'll find, some bigger buildings, but you're not gonna find those high rises in most parts. So that's the main spot that you're gonna find down there. And this area is obviously gonna be the most walkable area in all of San Diego because you have all the restaurants, you have Gaslamp Corridor. We just went to a game down at Petco Park, and it's just so much, if you're just going to explore it and you could catch a game, even if you don't like the Padres, go watch a game down there. It's a great atmosphere, great food, great drinks. Just there's a big area called Gallagher Square down there. You can bring the kids, run around. They just redid it. So it's pretty awesome. And they have concerts down there if you just want to go to a concert. But that downtown area, as you spread out from there, we're gonna consider it kind of that downtown metro area, is where you're gonna find some of the other, walkable neighborhoods, Little Italy, North Park, Hillcrest, all those little spots surrounding downtown where you're not necessarily in downtown, but they have their little downtown vibe. You can get there pretty darn quick. Those are all within there too. And also that downtown area, since it is where you're flying into, that's where you're gonna find a lot of hotels, a lot of touristy stuff. That's probably one of the areas that does get the most touristy just because it's right there. Downtown San Diego also doesn't really have beaches. They do have the bay right there. You have Coronado across the bridge where you'll find some beaches. But San Diego, you're not gonna find your normal beach like you'll find as you go to starting in Ocean Beach, going all the way up to Oceanside.
And downtown doesn't have the beaches, but there are also a ton of activities on the water. There's a lot of like tour boats, there's a lot of like sunset sails, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do on the bay, which is awesome. And then you don't have to go very far to get to the beaches. You can go up to Point Loma, you can go up to Mission Beach, PB. A lot of different areas will have those beaches in kind of right on the outside of the metro area before you get up into La Jolla.
And all those are still considered the city of San Diego.
The next main area is South Bay, which is just south of downtown San Diego. These cities include Imperial Beach, which is just south of Coronado and downtown San Diego, which is just a little cool beach community in South Bay. And then you've also got Chula Vista, which is the biggest of the communities. And you've got San Isidro and National City down there as well.
I think in our last video too, we figured out Chula Vista was the second largest city in San Diego. You got City of San Diego, Chula Vista, and the other one we just covered, which was Oceanside.
And Chula Vista also is kind of split in half. I don't know if it's mileage half, but it's definitely, there is a dividing line where you have kind of old Chula Vista, which is a lot of smaller homes, a lot of just it's just been around for a really long time. And then as you kind of push east, you've got a whole ton of master plan communities. It is just a whole city of condos, suburbs, houses, everything out there with a whole ton of infrastructure that's been put in over the last, say, 20 years.
And if you've seen news articles or whatever popping up about San Diego beaches closed down, that's probably Imperial Beach, because the Tijuana River comes right out there. And so sometimes they're getting sewage spills, they're getting, the beach is shut down, honestly, a lot out there, which is unfortunate because it's a really cool vibe down there. It's kind of like an old school beach city right here in San Diego, but that is one of the cons of living right down there.
And then you've got East County, which is another big area. You've got Santee, you've got Lakeside, you've got El Cajon, which is the biggest of that group. There's definitely a lot of different types of housing. You have definitely a lot of older homes. It's been around a really long time. But as you kind of spread out into kind of further east in East County, you've got big lots. You've got a lot of opportunity for custom houses. There's a great golf course out there, Singing Hills. Country Club is a really cool spot. There is a lot that East County has to offer. It does get a little hot.
One other area in there is La Mesa, which has a bunch of cool little spots in there too. But going back to Santee, one con, if you're going there, one of the main freeways that cuts back into there is the 52 freeway. And since it's one of the main drags going in there, during rush hour, it gets backed up quite a bit. Like, you're just sitting in there and there's like one exit in Tierra Santa and the next one is in Santee, and the big stretch in between there is like gonna take you a few minutes, I would say.
Yep. And it just it feeds a lot of communities too, so that's a big part of it. Yeah. You can get around, but it's just as long probably as sitting in the traffic.
Yeah, and some of these areas too, you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck. I used to have a pool route out there and just checking out different houses, obviously, you know, backyards and stuff, and just showing houses. Now that we're in real estate, the price points out there is a lot less. Like master plan community, where you do have a big pool in your backyard. You also have a big yard. You know, it's not just where some of these suburbs that you'll find in other, like North County, which we'll cover in a little bit, you'll find the pool might take up basically the entire lot. Out there, I mean, it's not all like that, but you can find houses that are definitely a lot more affordable, that do offer a lot more as far as space, size, yard, all that kind of stuff. Now we're gonna hop into like the central area of San Diego, and a lot of these areas they have their own little names. So like Mira Mesa, Claremont, La Jolla, but they're technically all the city of San Diego. So a lot of that area, we're gonna even call like parts of Carmel Valley, central San Diego. Basically, if you go 56 freeway and south, above maybe the 52, somewhere in that zone, that's going to be that central area. And you're going to find a bunch of different neighborhoods. You're going to find a bunch of different price points, and it's just kind of a mix of what you're looking for. There's no central downtowns. Right in the center of this area too, you're going to find Miramar, which is a military base. So planes flying in and out of there at a lot of times. But there's just so many different neighborhoods. There's some really good food spots that are kind of under the radar back there, just depending on where you're going. And right in here is a big central hub for like a bunch of commercial areas right here in San Diego. So like Sorrento Valley is its own little area, but if you look at it on a map, I'll try to bring up a photo here. A lot of it is just like these warehouse looking buildings, these headquarters, all that kind of stuff. That is, so like work-wise, if you are moving to San Diego for work and you're like, where is Sorrento Valley, or where's my work, and it's somewhere in the central area, you could hit it from a lot of these different areas that we're covering, even North County, which we'll cover next.
A lot of this central part of San Diego, you also have a lot of just well-established neighborhoods that have been there for a really long time. You'll see a lot of single-story. You're not seeing as many kind of two-story and huge homes in this area. Of course, as you push a little bit further west towards La Jolla, you start to see a little bit more of that. There's a lot of opportunity for kind of that ranch style, traditional style homes. They are a little bit older. This area does also tend to be a little bit more expensive just because it is so centrally located with all that commercial that Chris mentioned. Next up, the fifth area is North County, and we kind of split this up into coastal and inland North County. So coastal, you've got a lot of the cities that you are very well known. You've got Del Mar, you've got Solana Beach, Encinitas, Carlsbad, Oceanside, all the way up.
A lot of these areas are like villages. So
yeah,
like that's the downtown areas, is like Carlsbad Village. Encinitas, it's not really called the village, but villages, Del Mar, like all those, like they are their own little downtown hubs. They're downtown little centrals where, you know, not downtown San Diego size, but little strips off Coast Highway, and you'll find it through other areas of North County as well.
It's also a lot of incorporated cities rather than just City of San Diego or it's in the County of San Diego, but they also have their own incorporated like building departments and all that stuff, where a lot of just that San Diego central area, metro, all that is City of San Diego. And then as you go east, you've got San Marcos, Vista, You've got Escondido. Kind of to the south, you've got Poway, Rancho Bernardo, Scripps Ranch. There's a whole bunch of different areas. And then way out there, you've got Bonsall, Fallbrook, and Ramona as kind of those real rural communities just out on the outskirts a little bit.
Yeah, as you start coastal and work your way inland, you start getting a little bit less dense, and then you get like, I mean, San Diego County goes way out, but it gets a little bit more of that rural feel the further out you go. And we grew up right here. Cassie grew up not right where we're standing, but basically in this area. We're right now in like right on the border of Livin and Encinitas. Livin's an area of Encinitas. And then I grew up in San Marcos, and over the years, just a lot of these areas has seen a ton of growth in North County. So San Marcos, huge. When I grew up, it was like a little farm town, basically. There was a dairy there. The dairy's still there, but they're just, you know, the cows aren't there. It's a high school. Oceanside, ton going on down there. Vista, you're starting to see a central hub being built out kind of from that Main Street Vista, which Main Street's been there a long time, but just this revitalization and a lot more businesses. One of our favorite breweries just opened up again, Virgin, right off Santa Fe up there. So you just see a lot more of that growth going on, even though there's not a ton of area. Just maybe a lot of the areas are being redeveloped, and so you will have a lot more growth, I think, in the coming years as well in North County.
So we have a lot of clients move out this way that are looking for kind of that suburban feel. I mean, that's a big part of San Diego County as a whole, is a lot of suburbs. So they were looking for kind of quiet, a little more rural, cool amenities around, but not right on top of those cool amenities. And they got a great house out in Vista. But then a couple years later, they had their daughter moving out with them, so they were looking for something in the downtown area. So more restaurants, more shops, more walkable, just that other kind of the different vibe that you get from most of the rest of San Diego, because that downtown area is really one of the only spots where you have all of those things in walking distance.
And that's the biggest thing about the city versus the suburbs is the walkability. Now the suburbs are going to be built out. Most of them are well planned, where you have sidewalks a lot of places, except like certain parts of Vista, Livin, Rancho Santa Fe. But nonetheless, most of them are going to be walkable in that capacity, where you can get out. You know, when my kids were younger, we just go on walks, long walks with the stroller, super easy. You will find a little bit of ups and downs as you do find in most parts, but the walkability as far as going to restaurants or shops or just going out and about in a lot of places in the suburbs of San Diego, you're not going to find that until you get to those kind of downtown villages. And those areas are pretty unique as far as the number of homes. A lot of people who move in those little areas, besides Carlsbad, I'm going to call it Carlsbad because there's a lot of new development, there's a lot of new condos coming up, but a lot of the other ones, there's just like not a ton of turnaround. So people live there forever, they just pass down the houses. So a lot of those walkable areas, you're also not going to find a ton of condos. So the price points are going to be a lot more. But I would say walkability between city and suburbs, that's the biggest defining factor. If you want walkability, go to downtown San Diego. If you want a little bit more quiet, like our clients did, a little bit more land, a little bit more spread out, go to the suburbs, which it opens it up quite a bit.
And it doesn't have to be downtown, it's also just that kind of area around it. So like North Park, South Park, Little Italy, a lot of those areas that are kind of just surrounding downtown do have their own kind of infrastructure with restaurants and shops and coffee shops and all that too. So, but as you go away from metro downtown San Diego, it gets more and more and more spread out.
And a lot of people are queuing on San Diego to move out here because, like we mentioned earlier, the weather, besides today, the beaches, just the vibe out here. Hitting on the beaches a little bit. Not all beaches are created equal right here in San Diego. Like I said, downtown San Diego, you don't really have beaches. As you get going up the coast, let's just start in kind of OB, Mission Beach, PB, that kind of big stretch. Since that's very located near downtown, that's going to be the closest beaches. A lot of people coming from inland, from East County, all that stuff, since the 52 basically goes right there. It's just easy access to get down to a lot of those beaches. Maybe not easy, but the easiest straight shot to get down there. So a lot of times those beaches, they're a little bit wider, they're a little bit busier. Parking's a little bit tighter in there because there's no real big parking lots in those areas. You're just parking in neighborhoods and walking down. There's a few, but for the most part, you won't find that. As you go north from there, you're getting into like Bird Rock. We were filming out in Bird Rock, and just like, it's a little neighborhood of La Jolla. Until you get to La Jolla Shores, this little area is probably the worst spot to go to the beaches. If you just want to go hang out, relax, it's some of the most beautiful beaches right here in San Diego. But we were going down to film the actual Bird Rock that the little area is named after. And you walk down the stairs, and it's just rocks. And then the
water.
water's right there. So it's like, you're not gonna be hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're looking on, we'll throw on some drone footage. It's just really pretty. It's kind of like these outcrops of rocks, like just really nice down there. Then you get to like La Jolla Shores going north. That's actually another little touristy spot where you do have, once again, you could just, there is parking lots there. There's just the downtown is somewhat close. So you will get a lot of people going there as well. As you go north, the beaches get a little bit harder to access, going into Del Mar, Solana Beach, Encinitas, until you hit Carlsbad. All of those beaches where you're gonna find awesome surf spots, you're gonna find really cool coastlines. The beaches as a whole aren't the best, once again, to hang out at because there's big bluffs that block a lot of that. So just be aware, if you're moving here for the beaches, not all the beaches are created equal. When you get to Carlsbad going into Oceanside, that's the last stretch of beach, you're gonna find kind of a mixture of easy access beaches, some bluffs. Easy access beaches, a little bit harder to park. Easy access beaches, and then Oceanside, oceanfront homes, blocking a lot of the beach. And then you get up to the harbor, another big stretch. So if you're moving here for the beach, just do your homework. You're gonna explore a lot of beaches. You're gonna find your own little spots.
One of the big questions we get is, how close am I to the beach if I'm moving to this city? And we kind of say you're close to the beach, within 30 minutes of the beach if you're west of the 15 freeway, just because there are some major highways. You got 78 highway, which can take you all the way down to the ocean. And you've got also just some larger through streets that get you to those spots. I just want to also mention, Chris mentioned kind of the accessibility. The beaches that are the most accessible, especially in North County, the ones that Chris just described, Moonlight, Fletcher Cove, Ponto, and Carlsbad, those are going to be the most crowded. So the ones that are bluff front, where you have to go down a couple hundred stairs, those are going to tend to be a little less busy. There's just a little less beach. So if you're looking to move out here and you're looking for an affordable option, we have
affordable. I say more affordable.
More affordable.
It's all relative.
Condos and townhomes are going to be your best option. For the most part, condos are going to be in that downtown metro area where you've got somebody above you, below you, to the sides of you, kind of that traditional one-story condo. Where townhomes you find in a lot of the different areas where you have maybe an attached garage or detached garage, but you've got a couple floors in some cases. So that's kind of what we see a lot more as you move away from that downtown area. And then also the big factor for condos is HOA fees. A lot of people don't want to pay big HOA fees, but if you're looking condo, you're kind of looking, especially townhome, you're looking around $350 to $450. We have a listing right now that's right around that $350 mark, and it just covers common area maintenance, swimming pool, and the building itself, including insurance, which is become a big issue here. If you're looking downtown, more just traditional condo, it's gonna be higher. It's gonna be a lot higher. It's gonna be anywhere from like 700 to almost up to 1,000 in some cases, but you're also getting a lot more amenities with that. It usually includes water, includes trash, includes a lot of stuff, including pools, clubhouses, gyms, and just kind of legit facilities where you don't have to get a gym membership.
And our clients who bought in Vista and then bought another town or another condo in downtown San Diego, that one had a awesome rooftop deck too, which you'll find a lot down there. Just maybe you don't have a ton of outdoor space. This one actually had a front patio because it was on the first level, but then you look at this rooftop deck and it's just like, I mean, that's great. Just views of the bay, you know, just a bunch of beach chairs and stuff. You're most likely not going to find pools and stuff. Well, I lied. You're going to find some of those too. And one thing that we just discovered on this listing that we do have over in San Marcos, it's in a condo complex. It's kind of in a high fire zone. Is recently a lot of insurance companies here in San Diego have pulled out of California as a whole. So insurance is going up. People are having to change insurance, which we just found out as we're going through this process that these guys were kind of in the middle of insurance because one got canceled, the next one came up. So a few things that will probably change is, you know, in those certain areas, HOAs are going to rise a bit above that 350 range. I don't know what they're going to end up, but they are going to go up because not only, these condo complexes, which they're covering, you know, all these buildings, they're pretty massive policies. So they are going to be more expensive than they were previously. If they got canceled, now they're in between, now they're getting a new one. It's just going to raise the HOA rates in certain areas. It goes house to house. We can't tell you directly which one because certain areas, you know, and certain companies are switching and changing and canceling, but it is just something to be aware of. And now if you're moving out to San Diego, you can know the cost of living out here. If not, go check out one of our recent videos where we dive into the cost of living right here in San Diego and break it all down. See what it would cost for your mortgage and taxes, interest, insurance, HOA, living here, whatever, all that stuff. So you go check that one out. But there is a difference. So we're going to label it affordable versus expensive. It's affordable depending on your price point. It's relatively affordable. But how it kind of works here in San Diego is the closer to the coast you get, the more expensive it gets. The further inland you go, the more affordable it goes. And then starting, let's say, in that La Jolla area, going north from there, so La Jolla, as you go into Del Mar, as you go into Solana, Encinitas, Carlsbad, it progressively gets a little bit more affordable. And then another dividing line of figuring out where's affordable, where's not. I want to be by the beaches, or can I pay a little bit less and be a little bit further from the beaches, is the 5 freeway. So the 5 freeway splits a big portion of coastal San Diego from inland San Diego, especially as you're going out of downtown. But there's a big premium to be on the west side of the 5 as opposed to the east side of the 5. And some clients reach out and they're like, I want to be to the west side of the 5, which is on the coastal side, and my price point's this, and there's just no homes popping up. But maybe there's, handful of homes popping up on the west side of the 5. Obviously, on the east side of the 5. Yeah, east, west, you guys got it. But on the east side of the 5, there's just, well, first off, a lot more options, a lot more product. Yeah. It's just, there's a narrow little strip that goes in there where you are going to be super accessible to the beaches, to the coast, to these downtown areas in all these cities. But the premium is, there's definitely a pretty big premium for that as well.
There's also just a premium for some cities versus others. Encinitas is just a very well-known beach community. There, you pay a premium to live in Encinitas, to be in the Encinitas school districts, and really you only have to go one city up to Carlsbad to be just a little bit more affordable. Even if it's just across the street, Encinitas address versus Carlsbad address, you're just a little bit more affordable in Carlsbad. This also goes for that even higher price point from Solana Beach to Del Mar. Del Mar is a really, really well-known beach community. Bigger homes, not as many condos, and just tends to be a lot more expensive than Solana Beach.
And now we've mentioned the word suburbs probably 200 times during this video. So what is the suburbs? How do you define the suburbs? If you're coming from elsewhere where it's more rural, well, I don't know where you guys are coming from. Reach out to us. We want to know where you're coming from. But suburbs, I would say most of San Diego is suburbs, where you do have that downtown area, not suburbs. Everywhere out from there, I'm going to even say the other metro areas that we mentioned, like the North Parks, the Hillcrest, that kind of area, as you go out, I'm going to say those are all suburbs, because it's just a lot of homes. You're not going to find these big central, town centers that you're going to find in certain other big cities throughout the nation. You're going to find everything you need. You're going to find big strips of areas that you're going to have all your big box stores. You're going to find some of those big commercial districts like we mentioned, Sorrento Valley. Carlsbad has a big one in the center. Up and down Oceanside Boulevard. Most of San Diego is going to be the suburbs, where you're going to have newer master plan communities. You're going to have older master plan communities. The thing about San Diego, it's not crazy old like some of the cities on the East Coast. We're looking at like 100, 150 years tops in some of these areas. And so like our super old is like
the 60s.
The 60s, yeah. A lot of homes that when we say are old are like 60s and 70s. And then you're going to find newer communities that are built in, well, every decade since then. And you'll see it as you're going around. You're like, okay, if you're going to explore houses and you're walking through this house and you're like, oh, I wonder what year this is. It's somewhat new, but oh, they have the white countertops, the white tile countertops. You're probably like, oh, late 90s, early 2000s. Or you can just start seeing different aspects. I mean, you can just look it up too, but you can see different types of homes as you're going through and exploring different homes. So one of the biggest things is San Diego is all suburbs for the most part, and it's just houses, little centers, convenient areas, less convenient areas as you get spread out.
One cool thing about kind of those older master plan communities built in like 60s and 70s, they tend to look a lot more like custom neighborhoods. Things have changed, people have added on, people have remodeled extensively. So some of those older master plan communities from like the 60s start to look like real cool custom neighborhoods that you might find in, say, Rancho Santa Fe, or some of those more rural areas where you have a lot of custom builds. Oh, my phone's ringing. Got a call from YouTube. I did actually get a YouTube lead. They call. Oh, I have voicemail. Cool.
Oh, good. And we want you guys to reach out. Like Cassidy, you just saw, he got a call right now from somebody watching our YouTube video. So reach out, hit us up, figure out what neighborhoods are going to work for you. We'll hop on a Zoom call. We want you guys to call. We want to fill you in and really break down, okay, we could tell you so much here, but if we sit down, chat about it, kind of figure out what your wants, needs, your goals, all that kind of stuff, your timeline, we'll have a much better picture and show you some neighborhoods more in depth, really dive into the map and figure out what area is going to work for you. So call, text, email, whatever is easiest for you. We got your back when making the move here to San Diego.